Muscle cars, the ultimate American take on performance. Why would you make it so complicated with twists and turns when all you need is going into a straight line as fast as possible on a drag strip or maybe even at your local intersection when the police aren't looking? Welcome everyone to episode 81 of the Automotive History series, which is a 3-part definitive guide to the muscle car wars of the 1960s. And this is part 1, Early Beginnings and the Forerunners. What was the very first muscle car? Was it the Pontiac GTO from the 1960s? Was it the Chrysler 300 letter series from the late 1950s? Or was it the Oldsmobile Rocket 88 from the early 1950s? No, there can only be one, and it's this. The Buick Century. This is the first original muscle car, the daddy of them all. Alright, before we continue, let me clear up a few things. To this day, there are still fierce discussions among car enthusiasts about the definition of a muscle car. Definitions are all over the place, and I happily invite you to fight each other in the comments. But I tend to agree with a very broad definition of shoving the largest V8 engine you have available into a mid-size model, which is a rear-wheel drive coupe, usually operating in a more affordable side of the car market. And then there is the discussion of cars that certainly fit the description of a muscle car I just mentioned, but weren't known as such because they were created before the invention of the term. It won't make them any less of a muscle car, but they weren't known as such at the time. But back to the Buick. The Century model series was created in 1936. Buick offered 4 model series during that year, 2 entry-level junior models, the smaller and cheaper Special and Century, and 2 more upscale senior models, the Roadmaster and Limited, which was the flagship. The Century had this unique position in a way that was built on the smaller junior chassis and size, but came with the larger engines from the senior cars. In this case, the big and beautiful 5.2 liter or 320 cubic inch Fireball overhead valve inline 8, making 140 horsepower. The result? A car that was capable of reaching speeds over 100 miles or 160 kilometers an hour, which confirmed the car's model name, Century. But wait, there's more. Optionally, you could get the unique compound carburetor. This was somewhat of an advanced dual carburetor setup, further pushing the numbers up to 160 horsepower, making it one, if not the most powerful American car at the time, especially when you consider that the average American car had somewhere around 90 horsepower. Its performance, along with its swift-looking torpedo-style body, the Century quickly became known as the banker's hot rod. So in retrospect, we have a smaller than standard size coupe with a large and powerful 8 cylinders shoved into it, becoming one of the most powerful cars of its time. That sounds very muscle car-ish to me. Fast forward to the 1950s as a Second World War put things on hold for a few years. It's in the 1950s we see the first signs of America's quest for performance come to life. Returning G.I. Joes learned that there was more than just a father's dull, oversized waterbeds on wheels, and that there are small, relatively affordable sports cars that offer a completely unique and exciting driving experience, something that wasn't offered by the entire American car industry at all, until the 1949 Oldsmobile 88. According to some, this is the very first muscle car, but this car essentially follows the same recipe as the Buick I talked about earlier, shoving a larger engine into a smaller body. The 88 was based on the smaller-sized 76 series, with a new, big, bold, roaring Rocket V8 from the larger 98 series. A 303 cubic inch or 5-liter V8 engine coupled to a radically modern 4-speed automatic transmission turned the car into a futuristic yet affordable interstate rocket, giving it the nickname the Rocket 88. The 5-liter V8 made about 135 horsepower, about 15 horsepower less than the 30s Buick, but the car managed to get up to 60 miles or 100 kilometers in a comfortable 12 seconds. For comparison, contemporary Ferraris were only slightly quicker. the car became somewhat of a cultural phenomenon. It was no longer your father's Oldsmobile, thanks to winning quite a few races. Why wouldn't you go down to your local Oldsmobile dealer to make a date with your new Rocket 88? And while you walk into the showroom, all you hear on the radio playing is the song Rocket 88, arguably one of the very first rock and roll songs. edsautoreviews proudly presents Automotive Art Emporium, the official merch store. That's right, over at Eds Emporium, you can find the finest in automotive art made by yours truly. Whether it's a plate you want to hang on your wall in your home or garage, or magnets and stickers that you want to stick on the rear bumper of your classic ride, or expand your wardrobe with some car-themed apparel, I'm sure you're gonna love these designs. All designs are made by me and my own ideas, no AI trickery involved, for classic car owners that can handle a joke, and more designs get added along the way. By buying an artwork, you get to hang something nice on your wall, and I get to work on my retirement plans. So visit your local Eds Automotive Art Emporium by searching for edsautoreviews.dashery.com or click the link in the description and get your awesome automotive art today. By this time, the US was getting intoxicated by this automotive aphrodisiac called performance. What a great line. General Motors released the Chevrolet Corvette in 1953, although that's a distinct sports car that initially came with a 6-cylinder and a high price tag. Ford reacted by introducing the Thunderbird, but that turned out to be somewhat of a sports luxury car, although you could argue if this also wasn't a muscle car. It was certainly smaller than the regular Fords, a coupe, and packed an optional 312 cubic inch or 5.1 liter V8. Chrysler also couldn't stay behind. With their refreshed forward-look models for the mid-50s, Chrysler stepped into the range with the 300 Leather Series. This beast was designed to compete on the NASCAR racetracks and was sold to a few interested wealthy customers on the side. It also competed in the race for the title the fastest production car in the world at the time. Under the hood, a performance-oriented 335 cubic inch or 5.4 liter firepower V8 with hemispherical cylinder heads, better known as the Hemi V8. Power output was a boundary-pushing 355 horsepower. Some enthusiasts call this the very first muscle car, but we are talking about a full-size luxury car packing a punch, bordering on Grand Tourer territory instead of a muscle car. These were also nicknamed the Banker's Hot Rods, indicating that these were never priced to be affordable. Out of nowhere, newly formed American Motors also tried to introduce their version of a performance car. See, American Motors was a merger between Nash and Hudson, and was always the smaller runner-up. AMC quickly realized that trying to compete in the big full-size car segment was a hopeless task and useless. In fact, the sales of their largest models like the Nash Ambassador and the Hudson Wasp were declining anyway, so AMC tried to focus on the market segments that were almost completely ignored by the big three, the mid-sized and compact cars. And so, when you create a mid-sized car, why wouldn't you try to launch a performance edition by using a tried-and-true recipe, shoving the largest engine from the full-size cars in this car and create a pocket rocket? Introducing the Rambler Rebel for 1957, and what a fitting name it was, as this is a rebel rouser. Even with an ever-tight budget, AMC magically managed to design a brand new red-hot V8 engine in-house. A modestly sized 327 cubic inch or 5.4 liter V8, making a very, very respectable 255 horsepower. And the story goes that number was even underrated. The engine launched the car from 0 to 60 or 100 kilometers an hour in 7.5 seconds. Even by today's standards, that's moderately quick and already 5 seconds faster than the Oldsmobile from 6 years earlier. There were even experiments to supply the V8 with electronic fuel injection. Not even mechanical fuel injection, no, straight up electronically operated. This technology is the gold standard on cars today, but highly futuristic back then, especially considering practically every car came with a good old carburetor. The electronic fuel injection would bump up the power from 255 to 288 horsepower, and the rumor has it that the car could outrun a Chevrolet Corvette. The fuel injection was a Bendix unit, the same unit Chrysler also offered on their 300 letter series cars I talked about earlier. AMC ultimately decided to cancel the edition before the launch, but Chrysler continued, although it was rarely ordered. The few customers that did order it sent the cars back to the dealer to convert it back to a regular old carburetor, as it was a classic case of the right tech at the wrong time. It was too advanced to be reliable. Although the Rambler Rebel was only offered as a 4-door hardtop, its ingredients come dangerously close of being a muscle car. Low price, mid-size car, big engine, lots of power, but no coupe. And then Ford returned in 1958 with a rare special option for all the Mercury cars, an upgraded performance version of their already massive 7-liter or 430 cubic inches MEL V8. The Super Marauder upgrade swapped the regular 4-barrel carburetor for a 6-pack configuration, consisting of 3 2-barrel carburetors. Simply by allowing the engine to suck even more air and gas, the power was bumped up to an almighty and magical 400 horsepower. The Super Marauder wasn't widely advertised though. You needed to know a guy at your local Mercury dealer and be aware of this option to get it installed onto your next Mercury. And this car also isn't a strict muscle car per se, it's a full-size land yacht, but one of the first American cars to reach the 400 horsepower threshold. But the Mercury defines the decade. Whereas many American cars at the start of the 50s came with a 6-cylinder at around 3.5 liters of displacement and optionally an 8-cylinder, by the end of the decade, the V8 was for many cars the norm, the default option, with displacements reaching as big as 7 liters, doubling in size with twice or triple the power output than at the start of the decade. It became an unofficial contest who guts the biggest engine in terms of displacement, the most horsepower extracted from it, or the quickest 0 to 60 times. The race for the 60s had begun, but more on that in part 2.